Ever feel like the world just doesn't get introverts? You're not alone. Welcome to the Stay Introverted podcast. We're your hosts, Steph and Jay Coleman, here to dive into life from an introvert's perspective.
Each week we break down everything, from relationships and work to social dynamics and self-care, all while busting myths, sharing personal stories, and celebrating the quiet power of introversion. So, if you're ready to embrace your introverted side, let's get into it.
All right. Welcome back, everyone, to the podcast. As you know, I'm Jay. That's Steph. How you doing, Steph?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. It's MLK Day. Got the day off, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah, same.
Other stuff's going on, but today's MLK Day. That's all I care about. So, well, we're just going to dive right into it because today we get a special guest who I'm happy to announce. One of my content cousins. Shout out to the content daddy, Mighty Woodard. Let's welcome Miss Karrie Lemansky Straub. I hope I said it correctly. But how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks for inviting me. I love doing podcasts, so I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Yes,
I love it.
And you have your own podcast, correct?
I do. The ADHD Entrepreneu, her. So instead of ending in an R, it ends in a parentheses with HER at the end.
Fun.
And I specialize in working with women who have adult diagnosed ADHD, running and owning businesses. So that's my jam.
That's so fun.
It's really fun.
What's it called? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Please, I'll go. I'll get it in. Trust me, I'm excited today. Go ahead.
I personally love going on other podcasts, almost as much as I love hosting. So I'm curious what your experience is.
Well, I recently was on another podcast that with two friends who invited me on, and their podcast is ADHD related. And it was the first time I ever really told my story of before my diagnosis, everything that led up to that and where I am now. And then I also talked about business, and they split it into 2 episodes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sending this. Anytime anyone asks me what my story was, I'm sending them that. And anyone who asks more about my business and what I'm like to work with, I send them part 2. So it was really cool to be on another podcast because I hadn't really shared all of that. And even though I share in my own podcast, it's ours, right? It's different when it's someone else asking you questions and making you kind of think. And I love that. So I actually really do enjoy going on other people's podcasts. I just haven't done it very much, but that's definitely on my list of things to do this year. Hence, hello, being here and absolutely check. Yes. So I want to do as many podcasts as I can. I love doing this. I love public speaking. Eventually would like to actually do some public speaking. So we might have to hire Madi for that too, Jay.
Yeah.
But
Madi is awesome. I mean, this may inadvertently turn into like a Madi commercial, but that's
it's okay. Care. We love Madi. I don't even know Madi, but we love him.
We love Madi. So Karrie and I, we met because we joined what's called the Content Co-Pilot. It's like a 12, 13-week course where we kind of learn how to use ChatGPT to better make content. That's the dumb way of saying it. Mine says it so much better than I said it. But that, in the nutshell, that's what it is. But we learned a lot from him. Like Karrie said before we started, he's definitely funnier and much cooler in person.
Yes.
And definitely much more patient. Still curses a lot, but that's part of his charm. But it was fun, again, not just learning how to better make content for our businesses, but getting to learn everyone else's story. And, I think, and Karrie, you probably agree with me, I think we've all made great connections outside of that and beyond that.
Yes.
And Karrie is one of those people who I had to get on a podcast because I love her content. I don't have ADHD, but I still love her content because it's funny as hell. It's in your face. It's out there, and I like content that is authentic and you can tell this is her.
Yeah,
this is who she is.
It took a while, we evolve into our brands. It's like because we evolve in getting to know ourselves. And I really think that when we know ourselves better, I don't know about you, Steph, were you diagnosed with ADHD as an adult or as a young person?
So as I guess right out of college, like
Yeah.
2020, 21, 22.
So as an adult, you got all the way
Yeah.
through. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like young, very young, barely an adult, like
Yeah.
a child in an adult's body. But yeah.
Well, that's actually part of ADHD. We have underdeveloped frontal lobe, so we tend to we have, where we tend to be older physically and mentally not as old until we get to be like older in our age now. And the thing that I was able to finally learn was there was like this black box that I didn't know what was inside. And when somebody finally handed it to me at 49, by the way, when somebody handed it to me at 49, I was like, oh, I love me now. Because there were so many things I could not understand about myself. And the minute someone was like, here, by the way, you have neurological condition you didn't know you had your entire life.
Wow.
This is going to change everything.
Your eyes.
Oh my gosh. I didn't feel like a weirdo anymore. I met my people who understand me, who understand that interrupting is a form of love. It's not a form of being rude. That like telling a story where we relate to somebody else and telling a story like theirs is not about one-upping people. That's how we relate as people.
Right.
Just once I really got conscious of the things that I thought were wrong with me that were actually traits of ADHD and really got curious about it and got to understand it, my whole life changed. And then I started getting treatment for it and learned management tools and learned just really that curiosity and hyper awareness. And that has, in the last 2 years, it's just everything is so different than it was when I first got diagnosed. And I'm so grateful.
Wow.
But it's really overwhelming. It's really overwhelming. Yeah. So I'm glad that I was able to get that diagnosis and now to help other women because I have 25 years of business experience. But when I was speaking to people, it wasn't quite landing. And I'm like, what am I missing? Like I do market research, I do a lot of stuff. So what really was great about the thing that we did, that Jay and I did, was we literally, I swear, I've said this before, so he'll laugh when I say it. We just all got a PhD in AI and marketing at the same time because we learned from somebody who really knows their shit. And it was so insightful. And I don't know, 2 years ago with my ADHD, if I would have been able to put together some of the things I put together. I definitely have really bold in your face brand, but I partner it with really pretty graphics. So people are like, oh, that graphic's so pretty. Oh, she just bitch slapped me with her words. Okay.
It's awesome because like you see, oh yeah, this beautiful grill, this beautiful, all beautiful fonts, and then you turn the volume on and it's like, listen, goddamn it.
Yes, but it's like I
love that.
I work with women who are higher level in business. So I need them to know I take my business seriously, but my words are ratchet. Okay. Like my words are going to be unchained. They're going to be off the hook. There's an M and effort, mother effort in there. There's going to be all this kind of thing because that's who I am. But I held that back for a long time. And I'm still not as bold as I could be because I still am working on some of the things that have held me back just in life in general. And so it's like, I've only had 2 years to like know this version of myself. It's been a road. So now it's finally fun. God. And after everything we did and really learned how to make that content speak to the people we really want to talk to is just, and not in a way like a lot of times on Instagram, you'll see people talk about, I'm going to teach you how to do marketing. And what they do is they teach you how it worked for them. And what I loved was we got old school, old-fashioned marketing, and it was rad. We really got that core baseline because what you do is you're like, I don't know the rules. Then you learn the rules and you're like, okay, cool. And then you break the rules. That's like business, right? It's like you don't know the rules, then you learn the rules and you're like, cool, I know the rules now. And then you're like, F this, I'm breaking them. Let's take the training wheels off. I'm just going to be all of those things because that's how we attract our people. You guys know, stay introverted, the introverted Jay, exactly how to talk to your people. Sometimes I'll read your content and I just start cackling because I'm like, I can relate because that introverted part of me that like has to plug in. I'm like, oh my God, I love this is my life, you know, but I do know that I also have this other side that's like, woo, you know, off the chains. And I used to try to hold that back because people were like, you're too big, you're too much, you're too this, you're too that. And I'm just like, no, when you use the words you're too, to me, it means I'm making you uncomfortable. That's you.
Right.
When I learned that wasn't about me and how to really just stand up and use my own voice. I mean, my brand is Karrie Out Loud for a reason. So it doesn't mean get loud, but you know, I can be in your face. I can be like no BS and very unfiltered. And so then I put it with those pretty graphics. It's very jolting sometimes because people be like, did she just say, yeah, she totally did. Because I said one thing the other day and I'm like, I'm just hitting send and I'm not looking back. Because if I do, I'll go take it down. We all have those kind of like insecurities, but I've just learned to work to get over that shit, because the people who need us, or the people like for myself and my business, for the person who needs me, I need her to find me and know I exist.
Right.
And I have a very big specialty because a lot of people online, they'll deal with ADHD humans just in general. I am specific because I know that being diagnosed after high school or after college or any time that are like typical times of getting it diagnosed as women, it's jolting and it's surprising. And to find out, oh, there's people who like understand my brain and don't have to, you know, they get me and don't have to figure out how it all works. Like when they work with me, they're like, oh my gosh, this is so different. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm spicy minded like you. And and I can speak your language. I understand you personally. I understand you professionally. It's like it's a whole different ball of wax. So that's really exciting. I love what I do. Yeah. So I took that, what could have been perceived as a negative, and I've just seen it as an upside. It's like I've gotten to where I am now because of my tenacity and my inability to ever give up on myself. And anybody can do that. They just have to choose that. And not everybody can choose that. And I get that too.
I think ADHD, in a way, if you choose to like reframe it and like change the focus to like, this is why it's my superpower, like it can be. Same as introversion. Like if you lean all the way in, it gets to be your best attribute rather than like something that holds you back.
Right. And I always joke, it's like it gets to be better.
Yeah, exactly.
When
you fully be yourself, it gets to be better.
And that right there, I mean, that's the biggest obstacle, is giving yourself permission to just lean in and be yourself. Like once you get that out of the way, it's like, it doesn't matter if you're ADHD or have anxiety or an introvert or whatever it is that you tell yourself is a problem.
Yes.
Like once you stop making it a problem, it's not a problem.
Right. You nailed it.
Yeah.
I totally. Go ahead, Steph. I'm sorry.
So I keep interrupting. It's your turn.
Oh, appreciate it.
I'm sorry. My ADD is being polite today. So
it's all right. It's all right.
ADHD is being rude today. You're like, I am a perfect saint, but that bitch upstairs, she has a whole other idea. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, you're both right. It's very important to always be yourself, but that is one of the hardest things to do, particularly in this digital age on social media. Like, you don't know who's real and who's not. And it still sometimes takes me time to really tap in and lean into who I am and be myself. Because when I first started out, I was just posting pictures of the trips and whatnot, but I wasn't really showing who I was and who I am. So once I said, F it, I'm out to just say these words however the hell I feel, that's when folks are like, oh, that's me, I can relate so well. So I'm like, okay, let me tell more of my story. Okay, how about this? Let me throw in some R&B. That's what I like. And, let me throw in some memes. Here's your real. So once I really committed to just saying, being myself and being my true self and understanding that we're not all the same, that's when I got so many people saying, hey, that's me. Right. But you're right. It's one of the hardest things to do. But once you get on the other side of that, it becomes so much better.
Oh, yes, it really does. And it's so easy to try. One of the things I started doing towards the end of the year was muting stories and posts from people in my industry who I still want to follow. And I want to go there and look at their things if I want to. But I wanted things to come of me, from me, because There are no original ideas, even though there are original ideas. I'll talk about that in a second, but there are, quote, no original ideas, right? So it's like, we, though, are the ones who make the ideas original. And so with branding, one of the things I've really leaned into myself is letting me be the brand instead of creating branding that I think is me. So let me tell you what I mean here. I used to have content that I thought was what other people wanted to hear, or what other people needed, or the graphics or the way they looked. And then once I realized, well, I'm the brand and I love live music. I freaking love my dog, unapologetically love this little sucker. I go to live music all the time. I sing in my car. I have a big personality, and I wasn't letting that fully come out. I was like, I need to hide this behind this mask of professionalism. And then once I was like, no, I don't. I was like, holy crap, you just feel free. And then when you start letting those things out and people are like, me too, me too, me too, me too, you're finding your humans. It's so much easier to talk to them and ignore the rest of the noise, because on social media, there can be a lot of noise, and it's easy to look around at other introvert accounts or other ADHD owners, business owners, and wonder like, oh, should I do this like that? And once I finally stopped, just stopped, I stopped watching, I stopped consuming, and started creating, especially after our time with Madi, it was like a whole so much flipped for me, because things that weren't coming together were coming together. Now my brand looks more like me than it ever has, and it has really beautiful, elegant colors, but the the wording is very different than that. And so, because I like to catch people off guard, I like to make them think it's one thing, and they're like, oh wait, I did not expect that word to be on this beautiful cover, what this looks like. So I kind of like taking that aesthetic, like I put my dog onto one of my carousels. I have music records, like albums in the background. So I start mirror balls, the things that are part of my life every day. I did a brain dump into ChatGPT, and I'm like, this is me. This is who I am. These are things that I'm about. And then once I did that and started infusing all of that into my brand, instead of trying to create a brand that represented me, everything became different. Now, when people see my stuff, even though I've had some brand recognition before, I've changed it many times, but I finally feel like I now have the iteration of it that it's supposed to be. And it's taken time to get here. So once you finally figure that out and you infuse yourself into you are the brand, and you really grasp that concept, you can turn around and do so much more with it. As I'm sure you're learning by, truly just being your awesome introverted self and finding other people who totally get the energy batteries and all that stuff. So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Have to. Do you think having a podcast helped you to lean into who you are as well? 'Cause I know for me, before, sorry, my dog is sleeping and barking in his sleep.
They do that when
It's
they're
so weird.
a good dream.
Oh, and now he's not sleeping.
Woke
I'm
himself up.
fine. He really did.
It's awesome.
So anyway, pre having this podcast, I used to get in my own way. I used to think that my voice was annoying. I thought that everything that I had to say was annoying. And now I just don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I say what I want to say.
Yeah.
And whether it's here, whether it's with my parents or my friends or my family, my husband, my colleagues, I don't care. If you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you. But I think that the podcast has helped me to get to that point. So I'm curious what your experience has been, and whether a lot of your clients with ADHD have also considered the podcasting route.
That's an interesting question. I really like that. I think that when I listen back to the first few episodes of it, I crack up because I remember that woman. I remember sitting in my room on the floor with my old microphone, which I still have. I want to bronze it. And sitting there looking at the microphone and thinking, okay, are you going first or am I? The microphone's just magically going to talk to me and ask me questions. So hitting record that first time is really nerve-wracking. But once you do it, you kind of, and especially if you're a natural talker, it is a really cool outlet. And it's a really cool outlet for business because people get to know you on an even deeper level. And the way I ran my podcast forever was like, oh gosh, why am I not running this in the way our brains think? I would like pick one topic and talk about that topic. And like now I pick like three and I talk in the way our brain works, right? It's a fun house. It's feral. It goes all over the place. That's how I do my podcast. Sometimes I'll tell personal stories. Sometimes I tell business stories. And so it has really brought me out of the masking because I was highly masked.
You don't have to be so rigid. Chakra. Yeah.
Right. And you get to kind of explore, you get to play. It's really fun. You get to like figure out how to utilize that podcast to really showcase who you are as a human being and to hopefully, feel like people relate to you. And I will tell you that I haven't had many of my clients start a podcast while working with me, but one wants to restart her podcast because she's now editing mine and she's like, I loved doing it, So wow. I do think that, social media is great, but we also have to understand that social media, certain platforms can move and change and do all those things. So there are other things we also need to focus on. So having something like a podcast is another way to reach people. Sometimes I will ask people how they found my account. And one of the top answers is, I found your podcast. So it's starting to be found more and people are starting to know that this is my specialty. And, when it's being searched for, it comes up. So that's all really, really exciting. But I really did find my voice in a lot of ways. And if you listen to the podcast from the beginning, you can kind of hear that all happening, which is, there were times where I'm like, maybe I should just take down the first 59 episodes because 59 on is where ADHD content started. Before that, it was Women Out Loud, and then it was the anxious entrepreneur because I thought I had anxiety. And then once I realized this is what was going on, I changed the podcast name. I pivoted to really lean into helping women like myself, and that's when my business just changed. Everything changed in my life. And so using this podcast throughout all of that, being able to also, I don't know if process it on here was what I mean, but I spoke very candidly. I had like this 4 months where I didn't know who I was. And that's another thing about showing up online. If you don't know who you are, it's really hard to show up as you are, as who you are. And so because I was so much of a chameleon and looking around me so much to see what other people were doing. And it's like, people be like, oh, Karrie, I love your personality. I'm like, thanks, it's yours. Basically, because we're mimicking other people to like seem normal and, oh, this is the status quo and I must have to behave like this or behave like that. And you made a great point, Steph. When you can be exactly who you are in any room, with the exception of being around children, some parents don't care if you swear in front of their kids, some do, but the only time I actually curb my swearing anymore is around small children. Besides that, I let it fly. I know there's people in my life who hate that. I don't give a fuck because this is me. I'm a sailor. I'm a 17-year-old boy inside. The way I speak, the way I do things. But on the flip side of that, I'm a business mentor. I've been doing business for 25 years. I have a deep level of knowledge. So it's like, how do you get all of those intricacies of you to translate in social media? It's very hard. So having a podcast just added that additional layer. And I think that people are finding it more now. And there are episodes that have been there for a long time. And I do want people to kind of see that road because it's never a straight line. It's not a straight line.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you're right, Karrie. For me, I actually had a conversation yesterday with my little brother. Him and I actually growing up, I've always been introverted, but I just never knew how to articulate it. So I always just came across as like mean and sullen, looking back on it now, I wish I had the word to kind of say, you know what, I just want to be alone right now. I don't feel like talking to anybody, nothing against you, but I would just say nothing. So they just, we kind of grew apart, never really connected in the way that we're kind of connecting now. But I was talking to him yesterday, and he was like, I've been stalking your page and your podcast. I didn't even know he liked the podcast. in turn,
Hi, brother.
Hi,
Yeah.
brother.
Yes, shout out. His name is Karrie. We're going to have him on the show. I got to have him on the show. We're going to have him on the show.
Wow,
So,
I love
yeah,
it.
we're definitely going to have him on the show.
I have to listen to
but
that episode.
yeah, but he's learned he's getting a chance to kind of learn not just who I am now, but kind of who I was before and kind of why I was the way that I was. Because it's nothing against him. It's just when you're 13, 12, you don't have the words to really say. I don't want to be bothered. I need you to go the fuck away.
Yeah.
And for a while. But knowing that now, I think we're both of us kind of understanding how I was. So it's been cool, seeing how the podcast kind of had that effect on him. And by the way, he's been there for about 2 or 3 years now, but he lives in Liberia. So we are officially international, Steph.
Wow, we're in Liberia. That's wild.
Do you find, Jay, that explanation and having him understand now who you were then has made you have a better relationship now?
That's the goal. And there's definitely a difference between understanding and excusing. And him and I talk. I told him this yesterday. I have a better understanding of who and how I was growing up, but I also understand that doesn't excuse how I acted. So it definitely has given me insight, and I'm definitely appreciative of the opportunity to really get to know my little brother now. I wish I could have done it years ago, but I'm grateful for the chance today.
Yeah, it's like
never too late.
Nope, it sure isn't. That's really cool too, because it is something that when people start to see you and understand you as you are, because you've finally seen yourself and understood yourself, like we now have those words, right? And your words are fucking hilarious. I mean, like your content is so great. I love it. Whenever I see it, I know it's you because it's white with the blue font and like it's on point with your marketing.
I got that from Marty. He probably knows because when you see that black and white in that M, that's him. I was like,
and you like a little highlight somewhere, oh, that's
like I like blue. That's my signature color. But I'm also very low key. Like I don't have the patience really to like get as pretty as you, Karrie. Like I want that. I like it. But I told Steph this. I don't like a lot of options, and I get into Canva and there's 20,000 freaking templates, and I'm like, fuck this. Blue and white, blue and white. That's how you gonna do it.
There's like 95, and there's 95 different shades of blue.
Yes. I'm like,
that's what's so funny. That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Yeah, like, and I'm fortunate that it worked because I think people also know that again, I'm very low key. I'm low maintenance, but I'm here to say what I have to say. I don't need to be all fancy, and I'm fortunate that people rock with it.
The words speak for themselves anyway. So let me give you a little hint, a little tip that I give my clients. I have a capsule wardrobe in Canva. I don't let myself go down the scroll hole in Canva because I could live there. I love Canva. I could stay in there for hours. So in order to avoid going down the 6-hour rabbit hole that was Canva, I had to create a way. And the way I did it was I created a capsule wardrobe. So I have reels covers, carousels, and a couple other graphics, and they are all in one folder. And that is the place I go. So unless I'm looking to change it up, I don't go into the main part. I just go into my brand folder that has everything. I pick out which one I want to use that day, which of the 4 colors. It keeps some uniformity and fun, and then I don't have to worry about how that looks, but it takes a little time to set it up. Once I set it up, though, I was done. But if you are more simple and straightforward and to the point, that is your brand. That's who you are. Be that. don't have to go down the freaking rabbit hole. The reason why my branding is the way it is because it's me. It's like a little bit bougie and a little bit casual, right? So the branding and the aesthetic is kind of bougie looking, but when you hear I'm from the LBC when you read the words, because I live in Long Beach, and I went to school with freaking Snoop Dogg, and I didn't know him, but we went at the same time. Like, that's who I've been around my whole life here in Long Beach. So I can be a little bit, ratchet and a little bit,
we love it.
Sweary and wordy. But I don't mind that because that's just who I am.
I did not know Karrie was part of the Dog Pound. That's awesome. All right.
Yes. I mean, I literally went to school across the street from VIP, which is now a 7-Eleven, which pisses me off to no end. I'm like, those sons of beaches, because they took off the VIP records off the top. And I'm like, that's been there forever. What are you doing? Well, it's a 7-Eleven. We don't want it. That's just like history, music history. What's wrong with you? But I guess they're putting that sign somewhere, but it still says on the corner on the little logo, VIP records. But yeah, I mean, I have a really funny story if you want to hear it. It wasn't my story.
We do want to hear it.
We love stories.
I have never told this story publicly. So one of my girlfriends was in his history class. This is the only real thing that I've known about him besides my mom saying, "Oh, your friend Snoop was on TV." And I'm like, "Not my friend, just somebody who's in my yearbook." Like, it's cool. So she had him in her history class, and you're supposed to stand up and introduce yourself and say a little something about yourself. And I think his album came out, in 2003? Was that his first one? Anyway, his first one where he was standing up on top of VIP Records. So this is before all that. And so he stands up after everybody's going around, and I guess he stands up and says, and I quote, "My name is Snoopy Dogg," because he went by that when he was younger, because he was a kid. And he's like, "One day I'm going to be a famous rapper." And he sat down.
Wow.
And then
my dog just barked.
Like,
Nobody's like, damn, right. Drop it like it's hot.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, I love it. So just there's so much music where I'm at. I'm from Long Beach. We have Sublime. We had Snoop Dogg. We have a lot of bands that are known for Long Beach, and I guess we're getting a amphitheater here for like 5,000 to 10,000 people that's going to be here for at least 5 years by the Queen Mary. So we're getting some live music here, but. Yeah, no, that story cracked me up because that is someone who knows their destiny. Like, he knew his destiny, and a handful of years later, he was across the street filming his first video. And when she told me that story, like, I would tell that story often because I just think it's such an awesome display of someone knowing what they're made for. And he definitely did. So here he is, and his brand is awesome. I love Snoop's brand. I wish I could just sit in on his marketing team because, oh man.
I just love his friendship with Martha Stewart. I think it's so cute.
Oh, I love it. What was it? Was it Stewart? They had the elf on the shelf, but it was Martha Stewart and Snoop. It was Snoop on the stoop and Martha on the hearth or something. It was so funny.
Wow.
But I love their collabs. Like they've collabed on a bunch of things. I love watching them cooking.
Random.
It makes me laugh so hard. And then I have friends who know I'm in Long Beach. So like one of my clients sent me a Snoop Dogg cookbook. It's so funny.
Oh my
God. Like got Snoop with like mac and cheese. Talk like recipes from when he was young, and then some more fancy ones. But yeah, no, I love their friendship as well. And just, I love being here from Long Beach. So I definitely can have a mouth on me between my ADHD and being from Long Beach. So
I love that.
I bring that in, and that's kind of part of my flavor. And it's like, I understand if people don't love that, if that isn't their jam, but I'm telling you, when you find your people, it doesn't matter if it's not somebody's jam, because there are so many people who are down for who you are and what you stand for. And, that's really it. Is I just wanted to stand for people being who they are, and I've said since I was younger that I knew I was meant for something bigger than me or outside myself. And I used to joke when I started my business, oh, I'm going to be international. And I have clients in Dubai and Canada, so wow. I do actually work internationally. So it's like, your words are powerful. And so I think that hearing that story, that just was powerful. Like, he had those words at that age and knew,
that's wild.
And so.
And very specific too. Like, he was like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. It's not I'm going to be a musician. Like, he knew he was going to do hip hop and rap.
A famous rapper.
so cool.
It's cool. Like
Full time.
Wow.
Snoop is one of the, he's one of those. There's a few
I'm
of
gonna be singing
them.
that all night.
But it's cool that he's gotten to the
Nope.
point where it's like this entire generation that doesn't even know he was a rapper. Like he's just so mainstream. Like you just forget that. Oh yeah, he used to rap.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it just cracks me up that he's like doing the Olympics, and when him and Kevin Hart,
Yeah.
I love those two. I'm just
Kevin
like,
Hart's so funny.
package this shit up and put it in the equestrian. Yes, I want. Oh, he's doing a crit walk, and I'm like, oh no,
Walking on his set.
yeah. I mean, just using all his language and how he speaks as a person, and that's what's really cool about his brand. I don't know if you saw that one post where he's like, "I'm giving up smoke. I hope that you understand me and my family at this time. Please respect it," something like that. And I'm like, okay, 95% of me is like, this is publicity. This is branding. This is something. This is not him giving up that. And this is definitely not him saying he's giving it up publicly. There's something here. And then there's the other 5% of me going, well, if he's been smoking it forever and there's something wrong with his lungs, then I could see why he would give it up. I got all logical, right?
And why he would publicly acknowledge it, because he wants to let people know the risk. Yeah.
Right. So the 3-day weekend goes by, and on Monday it comes out he was pimping a smoker brand, like a brand of smokeless
edibles?
barbecue. And there's a commercial with him with the smokeless barbecue, and at the very end it's just him, and he's sitting there with a hanger, and the marshmallow is just blowing. I'm like, whoever thought of this campaign is freaking genius. It's genius. It's so genius, but it's so on brand for him. And so for them to like work that in is crazy. So awesome.
I remember, wait, really quickly, Jay, before you go, so I remember hearing that he was going off to smoke or whatever, and then I just like never followed up with the story. Like I just only heard that the first half.
Yeah.
So when you were talking, I was like, oh, like maybe he made like an edibles brand. And then
that was one of my thoughts too.
Yeah. So, but honestly, that's so perfect. Like, genius. I never would have thought of that. So whoever does that or came up with that is brilliant.
Yeah, the best part is all the celebrities who are like, good job, Snoop. And they're like commenting. You're like, oh, he's
so disappointed.
He got
exactly.
you so bad.
That's exactly what I wanted to say. Like, so many celebrities like thought he was talking about smoking. And then you had other ones talking about, yeah, I'm going to give it up too. And that wasn't even what he was talking about.
No, but it was so funny. Like you even saw like articles like Us magazine and like people like putting like all these celebrities are so supportive of Snoop. And he's at home going, I got these fools. Like I totally got him, but he did. I mean, it was genius.
So funny.
Yeah, it was.
I wonder if anybody sobered up because of that.
Maybe they were so afraid. I don't know. But one of my first thoughts was, okay, he's going smokeless. He's going edible route. And then I'm like, I don't know, maybe. And then when that all came out, I was like, I love you so much. This is you just punked so many people at one time. So many. I'm like, chef's kiss. That was so genius. But that's on brand. That's on point. Yeah. I mean, they nailed it with that campaign. So,
I feel like I love when people say, like, kind of going back to us, like, I love when people say to me, like, oh my God, you just said that. That's so on brand for you. And like, I feel like I hear that more and more now, which kind of tells me like, okay, like people know who I am. People see me. People can see things and they're reminded of me. And I feel like, like that's the best feeling. It's so validating. It's so nice to like be fully seen and have people send me things that remind them of me. Yeah. And like I see it and I'm like, oh, I see why they think that. Cause I remember like back in the day before I was okay with being myself, or putting myself out there, people would be like, oh my God, this reminds me of you. And I'd be like, fuck, like, okay. I don't get it. but now it's, right, is this what you think of me? Like, okay, like, but now it's like, I feel like I see myself the way other people see me and vice versa. And it's such a good feeling.
Yes. Yeah, it is. We just want to be understood as humans. Like at the basic level, we just want to be understood. And so when we find those people who have that understanding, you do get that validation, being around what I jokingly call my little neurospicy unicorns, being around others who their brain functions like mine, and you literally don't have, like, I have a neurotypical husband. My husband does not have my brain. And so it is fun in our house when he's like, well, why do you do that? I'm like, well, why do you do it that way? Well, that's how it's done. No, that's not how it's done. You have an Apple phone. I have an Android. We have different operating systems, and we get there very differently to the same place, but we get there differently. Why did you load this dishwasher this way? But now that stuff just kind of makes sense to me. I'm just like, let's just get it done. And to him, he's like, I want it to be like a certain way. So it is funny, but then when you just kind of let all that stuff out and you let yourself just be free and be all of who you are, once you really figure that out, and we figure little bits of it out along the way and let that out, right? It's okay to accept those parts of you, even poke fun a little bit at them, and life is too fucking short. It just is too short. It's too short to not have a sense of humor. If you want to go through life without a sense of humor, you're probably living during the wrong time.
Yeah.
Because y'all got to have a sense of humor right now, with how our world can be. But we have a direct impact over our people. Like today I got a DM and I was cracking up because this is someone I barely know, but you don't know who you're talking to and inspiring behind the scenes. Just that is something so key for so many people to remember, is that we are helping people we don't even know we're helping. And she's like, yeah, I know I've been kind of MIA the last few months. Again, barely know her. And she says to me that she often looks around at her life and says, WWK do. What would Karrie do? I'm all, stop right now. You do not say that. She's like, no, I do. She's like, it helps her kind of think about her ADHD. It kind of helps her to respond instead of react, like the things that I teach. And I was just so blown away. I was like, oh my God. Okay. Other person is like, oh, I listen to your podcast all the time. I'm like, I don't know who you are. We have this silent impact. And so when we start owning our impact, not that we're here to help people fix everything. We can't do that, right? But to support them in the ways they need to be, whether it's being heard as an introvert, whether it's having people understand that with ADHD tends to come foul mouths and unfilteredness, and that's how we roll. And for a long time, we suppress that or think that there's something wrong with that, when there's just a lot of variety in how brains work. And so when we kind of look at other people through that lens and look at ourselves through that lens, it makes life more simple. And a lot easier to stop judging, because we don't know people's history or why people are introverted, why ADHD is a thing. It's genetic. It's like when we accept ourselves is when I think we find our people, because when we accept ourselves and put all of that out there that, we're comfortable putting out online, because, you definitely want to be safe, but you want to bring those elements there. When you start doing that is when it really starts to light you up and light up other people. And that's when you know you're nailing it. Like you said, you're just now, F it, I'm who I am in every situation. That's when we really know we've accepted ourselves, is that we will let that version, that person, that unmasked, unfiltered person speak, because we have been bridling that person for a long time. I know I did. Or not understanding. When you don't even understand yourself, it's freaking weird. It's weird.
Oh my God. Yeah. How is other people supposed to understand you when and it's a very frustrating place to be.
Yeah.
Like when you just feel like, who am I? Like, I feel like I'm being so inconsistent, but how are you supposed to be consistent or normal when you don't even know who you are or what you are? It's a crazy world out there when you don't know who you are.
Yeah, and some of us just don't have critical pieces of information. And then we get this critical piece of information, like, oh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing I hear the most from my clients is, Now my life makes sense.
Mhm.
That is one of the most common phrases I hear.
Absolutely.
So yeah, no, it is good to just continuously be curious about yourself and to be all of who you are. So it gives permission to others to do the same. And I think that when we give others permission to be in all of their weirdness, whatever that looks like, that's a good thing, you know? And we just want to be known. And so when you have a piece of content like you have, Jay, where it's like, oh man, of course people are like all up in there, like, it's me. It's like, yeah, it's because you share this common thing and you can joke about it, but also know that it's very real, you know? And it's awesome.
Well, speaking of weirdness, I need to thank you real quick, and I'll get back to that in a second. But earlier we were talking about trying to organize, set up content. I struggle with organizing my content because 85% of it is off the dome, and it just is like I'll be walking somewhere and I just think of something and it turns into content, or I'll see a clip and I can see how I can turn it into introversion. So
yes,
going back to thanking you, I need to thank you because you just gave me an idea for content on the show. And Steph knows this. Steph knows that all of our episodes are also staff meetings. So like we don't just talk. We get work done. So awesome. I like that. I like how your client was talking about WWKD. What would Karrie
That made me laugh so hard.
Yes, and that, as you know, it's based off WWJD. Well, Jesus do.
Yes.
I have the same initial as Jesus, so I think I'm about to get to some content. What would Jay do?
That is awesome. I can't wait to see that. Please tag me in a couple of those pieces when you put them out. I want to see that shit. Yes, you know, sometimes you can miss it, but that's awesome.
But see, like I would never, I couldn't just sit and and think and write that down. Like that's just not who I am. Like it takes us having this conversation to me hearing that and be like, okay, I'm about to use that.
I love
that.
Well, I mean, our life creates the content, right?
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. So when people say, "How do I come up with this life?"
You're like, "Oh, I live and I see I just live my life. I leave my house from time to time."
I really do. Like, it is hard for me to just and I have so many ideas in my head. So every now and then I will sit and kind of just dump them into my phone. But like scheduling and planning out what I want to do, how I want to say it, even though again we're supposed to do it. I can do that, and then I'll see your reel and say, you know what, that's going up tomorrow.
Yeah.
I know what I want to say, and everything that I did the last week just got blown out of the water. So thank you, Karrie. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome. But let me give you a little tip. Always keep that content, because if you're sick or you're down or you're eventually going to hand off your content posting to somebody else, you know that you have some stuff like stocked away. Like I know that I create content all the time and a lot of it I don't end up using. So, because I'm an on the fly person, just like you, I will think of the idea and want to put it to work. So if you ever do that dump where you do it, make a couple of those pieces of content. And then if you're having a day where you're just like, I am not in the mood, repurpose it, put something up that you haven't put out before, B+ work is fine. Literally, B+ work is fine. You do not have to, even C+. But it doesn't have to be on point, 24/7, 365, because we're fucking human beings. We have, I was just sick last week and, I couldn't do certain things. So what was going up? Old content, recycled content. It's like you learn how to utilize those things, because when you're newer, you're like, how does everybody create all this content for the very first time, all the time? And you're like, realize when you're around long enough that is not the case. People are redoing their content all the time. And like we were taught, take the things that we're hitting and help use ChatGPT, because those are your own words. You have ChatGPT help you reformat that into a reel, have it reformatted into carousel, anything like that, and then you can repurpose it. But really, it's like I'm like you, Jay. I'm an on the fly person. I will think of something, at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, and that's when I'll create it. And the most I do with scheduling is Instagram has scheduling now. So I'll be like, I want this to go out tomorrow. Like that's the most scheduling I'll do.
Wow.
That's
And
my
I may have,
planning.
yeah, and I may have to run my business a different way down the road, but for right now it works. And then I have my capsule wardrobe. So if I ever did want to hand my social media over to somebody, they already have everything they need. I just hand it,
Wow. I
But I
love
don't
that.
know. Yeah, I don't know if that'll be
For,
something I do because I love creating content.
for some reason, so this is super ADD. You're about to see my ADD in action. So as you were talking, I was kind of thinking about like I recently watched an interview with Freddie Mercury
Hmm.
from Queen,
Hmm.
and he was talking about how he wrote Bohemian Rhapsody. And he actually had the idea for 4 different songs in his head, and he was writing all of them simultaneously. He could not finish any of the 4 songs. And but he kept going, kept going, kept going. And then finally he just said, fuck it, I'm gonna put them all together. And came up with one of the most epic, like iconic songs of all time. Um, so even like I wonder how many other big like musicians and creators just, write it down, keep it in a vault, and you don't even have to like take the piece of content that you're working on or that you had the idea with and run with the original idea. You can do a Freddie Mercury and put it all together and see what happens.
Yeah, what is it? Put it together, and what do you got? Bippity boppity boo.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a little magic there. What's got to move
Yeah,
when you do the
yes.
fandango? No, I'm not doing the fandango. Like, you do the
Right.
fandango. But no, I agree. And, many creatives, artists, musicians, artists, speakers, people who have unconventional jobs, a lot of us are spicy because we don't like the confines of working at somebody else's desk for them.
Right.
It's not a fun concept. We would rather, and I don't work 80 hours a week, but we would rather work 80 hours a week for ourselves than sit at a desk for 40 hours for somebody else because it just
Right.
doesn't always work the way our brain does. So you tend to find a lot of people who have that going on. There's one guy I love, the speech prof. I don't know if you guys know him on Instagram, but he talks about like how everybody's like, oh, everybody, all these creators, everyone are ADHD. I'm like, yeah, of course we are. Because we have brains that go a mile a minute. We think of all this content. It's like our brains are always running. So anybody whose brains are always running, those ideas come up. Like you were saying, Jay, it's like I'm walking down the street and I'm like, oh, that was a great idea because life inspired it. So we tend to get inspired by life. And there are some people who want to have this very solid plan, but business is fluid. It's always evolving and it's always moving and it's always wanting to keep it fresh. So posting something that's relevant to something 3 years ago may not be as good now, but you can always take that content, find a reference from now and repurpose it that way. So there are just ways that you figure out how to work within your business, but also letting it come from who you are, especially for us, Steph. We're told we're distracted. It's like, no, I'm curious. What's going on over there? You guys are all looking that way. I want to know what's happening over here, right?
Yeah.
It's like watching The Wizard of Oz or Wicked, okay? Everybody else is Wizard of Oz, and we're on the side going, okay, I want the backstory. Like, what happened here? How does she become that? And like the fan fiction part, right? So that's how our brains work. Our brains work like that fan fiction, like that creative chaos. Like I call it the feral funhouse. It's like a circus with 87 rings and there's something different in every one of them.
Absolutely. Wicked is like the ultimate fan fiction. It's wild. Yeah.
Right. But okay, Jay, I have a question for you. Is your head ever totally silent? Like, do you have times where you can sit there and you're like, I'm thinking of nothing?
So yes and no. Because
what's that like?
Here's why. Because as a guy, yes, I can literally just have think of nothing.
Yes.
And I know that
crazy.
women.
How?
I know that.
By the way,
see, I was about to say women don't understand that. Guys can just literally.
That's my husband. It's crazy.
And not think nothing. But on a deeper level, no. Like my mind is. Something's always going on, whether it's business, whether it's designs. For me, it's typically content and ideas. Now that I'm in this creative space, it's like something's been unlocked. So I'm constantly thinking of like ideas and designs and what I want to do. So Yes, that's why I say yes and no, but I'll say mostly no because
Mm-hmm.
for the last year, really, I really just been kind of the wheels been turning
That's
24/7. It
awesome.
seems, and it can be awesome, but it's also like I wish I could turn this shit off because LeBron has the ball. I like to really watch this game, and I can't enjoy it because I'm thinking about all this content that I want to make. Like LeBron don't he's running. He don't have but two more years left in his career, and I can't enjoy it because I'm thinking of these shirts that I want to make. So that's kind of when I wish I could turn it off. But
Yes.
for the most part, it's okay.
Yes.
But I would say 80% no, as far as being able to turn it off. Like something's always going on in here,
Yeah.
and I've just kind of learned to lean more into it now.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, I always have my phone here just to have to open up the notepad app. So I'm always writing stuff down. If I don't have my phone, I'm by my computer so I can type it into Word. Like I've gotten better
Dude.
at like just brain dumping when I have to, so I don't forget. Because I can't tell you how many awesome ideas I don't forgot. So I'm like, I guess I'll do with the shit. So I'll just write it down. And I got designs that I'm coming out this year with that I thought of 2 years ago. So
That's awesome.
Yeah. So like
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be on your next this year with designs. That's just so you know. Shameless
What was
plug.
that?
I'm talking to my people.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yes, I'm coming out with mad designs this year. So I'm gonna be on your neck this year.
I can't wait.
On your what?
On your neck.
On your neck.
Okay.
I'm gonna have my foot on your neck with these designs.
You're so good.
But I digress. Back to you, Karrie.
No, I love you.
Wow, aggressive.
Shameless plug on my own
Shameless plug.
podcast. Yes,
On
you
my
can
own podcast. Yes.
definitely plug yourself on your own podcast. But no, I
Well,
mean,
it's kind of like you say it. Like I felt like
He never does, so I'll give him that. He really doesn't do it enough. So
yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I it is in a small way another outlet for my business, but I don't want this to be like in advertising for my business. It's really for us to just talk. But
what made you start it?
I again had a whole bunch of shit going on in my head. I realized that as introverted as I am, I do enjoy having meaningful conversations. And so also looking at the landscape, long form content is here. So you got to have some sort of content.
Yeah.
I wanted to do a podcast, but I didn't want to just be talking into the void. I can't talk for 10, 15 minutes just into a camera, at least not yet. And then, Steph and we worked on a few projects, the year and a half prior. So I was like, hey, let me call up Steph, see if she want to go half on a podcast with me.
That's awesome.
And so I called her up and I started asking her, hey, this is my ideas for what I want to do. I don't think I even got the question down. She was like, yes, let's do it.
That friend the friend who's always down for shit.
Yeah.
We love you. Are the friend who's always down.
I was nervous because we never met in person prior to this. So I was like, and here I am asking her to do a podcast, and she was like, fuck yeah, let's do it. Matter of fact, I was waiting for you to call.
Yeah, he's like, hey, do you want to? I'm like, yeah. He's like, do a podcast. I was like, oh, I was hoping that's what you were asking, but yeah.
That is so good.
She was like, matter of fact, you should have asked me last month. I was ready last month. How can you late?
I do have two other podcasts. So this is my first one.
Right.
And then right after we got started, I was like, so I have to tell you something. I'm starting another one. And then a month later, I was like, and another one. Because
so you're starting a podcast company now, because that's
pretty much. Yeah, that's pretty much my plan.
Yeah.
But had let's say he waited 2 more months, you would have been shit out a lot. I would have been fucking busy.
She'd been like, I'm popular. I'm sorry. I'm popular.
So my husband's like, if you start one more podcast, it's going to be a problem.
If you start one more blank, it's going to be a problem. Is pretty much every ADHD woman's thing. Oh, what about that knitting you did a year ago where it's like sitting in a pile hidden and you're like, I don't know, I don't want to do it anymore. It's like when we get those little side quests and we're like, yeah, we're going to do that. And you're like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
But you know you really love something. Like I've been in business for 25 years and I've loved helping women in business. I started doing that when I was in my early 20s. And I'm like, this has always been a problem, quote unquote, for me. This has always been something I've loved doing. And I just didn't know how to turn it into what it's become. And so now with the time we're in and the day and age we're in, it's so fun because you really can create something out of nothing. It's pretty insane. Literally take a, electrical impulse from your brain and go, this one, yes, okay. And then you create a business out of it, We can do that now because advertising is different now and the way we show up in the world is different now and social media helps with that exposure. So it's a lot of information that comes at us. But for our brains, we can take all that information in and process it, right? So we need something that's as fast as us. And oftentimes business and these kinds of things are the right kind of speed for the way our brains work. So yeah.
Absolutely.
But I love that you guys started this that way. Yeah, no, I'm the sucker who started it by myself. And from time to time, I'll have somebody on there and interview. But the way I do it is I do it like I'm having a conversation with somebody, like one of my clients or my best friend. And I actually like pause in places because it's like this gives them room to think about something that just was said that may be a big deal or something for them to absorb. So I do kind of still look at it as a two-way conversation, but I keep it 20 to 30 minutes because of our brains. It's like, we put it on 1.5 to 2 speed. What is it? So I always joke, it's like turn it up to 1.5 or plus, and listen up because this is a 20-minute episode, but it could be 15.
That's so funny. But I can't listen to people on like extra speed or slow. There are certain people, very rare, that I have to slow down. But I'm a slow talker, so I just cannot listen to other people talk like slow. I don't know. I can't fuck with it.
Well, it sounds like you have an attentive type of ADHD. So there's like 3 types. There's hyperactive, combined, and inattentive, even though for women, the hyperactivity is in our brain. It sometimes comes out in fidgeting, in picking our nails, picking our skin, bouncing our feet, bouncing our legs, any of those kind of things. It's called stimming. It's to take some of that internal energy and get it out. But you sound a little bit more like someone with combined type inattentive, because when you're combined, you're like, always talking, always. So when you said that, I have to slow it down, I'm like, that's usually a sign of that. So that's really fascinating because even though we have the same condition, it looks so different in everybody. But there are through lines. We're hilarious. I hope it's okay to say this. We're hilarious and sexy. Like that is the thing. I put that onto threads and people were like, yes, sharing it and all that stuff. And
I love threads.
Because I'm like, tell me I'm wrong, but any woman with ADHD will tell you how hilarious she is. And that she's the funniest person she knows. We just have this funny disposition of doing that.
It's the way that we look at the world. Yeah.
Yeah. It's humor and I'm funny. You're not laughing. What's wrong with you?
Right. Like you obviously had a bad day because I'm fucking funny. So the other thing about mine, and I'm curious about you, is I actually went off my meds. I kicked all my ADHD meds 3 years ago. So I'm completely unmedicated now.
You're raw dogging it. Damn. Girl.
I'm raw dogging it. And now I'm actually cutting out caffeine. I'm in the process of that too.
Wow.
So God bless everybody who knows me.
That's a lot.
It's going well.
Good.
Obviously if it gets to the point where I can't function, like I will add caffeine back in, but I don't know that I'll ever go back on the ADHD med just because they fucked with my anxiety and depression. And I was just like kind of abusing it. But yeah, you kind of just get the unfiltered, like I have 0 filter. I have there's nothing controlling my brain or helping me focus. Like, if I can't focus, that's a you problem, not a me problem.
Well, and you know, it's interesting is that for me, I knew very like immediately I was trying medication. Sorry, Jay, this is now turning into a medication discussion, but I'll make it brief. I knew I wanted to utilize it, but again, you got diagnosed in your early 20s. So if you've been using it this entire time, you're going to have a totally different experience with it.
Yeah.
For me, my experience personally was like literally life-changing. Every area of my life,
right?
My relationships, my friendships. Like I have this way now where I know between like 8 p.m. and 6 p.m., 8 a.m. and 6 p.m., I have a lot more ability to focus, or the short term. Sometimes I take it short term because I have short acting and long acting. And so I can kind of determine how much of that focus I want and how much I wanted to let it, you know, be unbridled. But for me personally, it really has changed my life, and I use it 99% of the time. When I'm sick, I don't take it, but it's just been very helpful for me. But I also understand some of the side effects that some people have. It's just like they're over it. So it really is a personal.
It's been a journey getting used to functioning and focusing without it. Like the first year, I was like I would start a thought and then like stop the sentence and walk away and just do something, and you were like,
that is so inattentive ADHD girl. You are ADHD, you are inattentive. You're like, and so then the other day
goes and does the dishes. Like, what the fuck? We were in mid-conversation.
Like, why are 4 of these cupboards open? Oh, I just put away the dishes.
Yeah.
Forgot the whole closing and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's sorry. That just reminded me that I have to do this, and so I just did it.
That's man, raw dogging it. I bow to you. I'm not at that point in my life where I want to do that again, because I've did it for 49 years and I'm like, nope, no, that was not a good time in a lot of ways. And it just kind of helps you. Because, you know, I don't know, Jay, do you find this too, having been an introvert and not able to express it? Have you found that it's still hard to, am I stuck here? No. Is it, do you find that you understand yourself so much better now that you figured this out and that you've, been able to tap into this part of yourself for humor, for, additional income, those type of things? Like, now that you've tapped into that, do you finally feel home in your body? Like, from really identifying what that was for you?
Absolutely. That's exactly it. I feel at peace at home. Again, I know I have a better sense of who I am. I have a better sense of how to articulate and explain who I am and why I do the things I do and say the things that I say. I can explain better how I see the world and why certain things resonate with me, why certain things don't. I have a better understanding of, how my energy is, and I have a better understanding of how I was, and how I'm able to now look back on that journey and see how I got to where I am. So definitely, and I think that shows in my content. I try to be very clear as to where I am in my own journey as part with introversion, and I also try to create space for other people, for wherever they may be, because I'm at a point where this is who I am. Like I'm not really. You don't see a lot of like, it's okay to be introverted. It's inspirational type shit. And again, that there's other people that do that, and great for them. God bless them. But that's not me. Like this is who the fuck I am.
Yes.
Now, I get it. If you're not here, that's cool.
Right.
But that's just not where I am. So a lot of my content is geared towards that. And what I'm finding is that there are a lot of folks that are kind of in that space. It's like, I know who I am. I know I'm quiet. Okay. And in turn, it's definitely one that's helped me refine my content, but it's also showing me that, hey, these are my people, and it's giving me people to talk to, and it's helped me expand, or try to expand the audience of people that I want to talk to. Like this last couple of months, actually, I've been trying to reach out to more introverted men, because I realize as an introverted man, we're not always given the space to be introverted. I think there's certain societal expectations that we're brash, we're outspoken, and we're this and this, but that's not all. That's not all of us. So I've really been taking the time to really reach out to my people and say, hey, this is who we are. And I've gotten results from it. Like I've seen so many introverted men like, thank you for saying this. And then so I'm taking it one step further. You got not just introverted men, but introverted Black men, because I'm a Black introverted man. So it was just this entire journey has allowed me to see, see who I am really in all phases, not just being introverted, not just being man, not being a Black man, but all of it, and being able to talk about all of it and reach more people. And it's funny because as I niche down, another keyword, as you niche down, it's kind of like your audience expands. It's cool.
Yes.
That's
so what
cool.
Bonnie taught us, man. When you get laser focused, everybody comes. It's so
crazy. Content daddy.
Yes,
it's cool because it's like I'm getting, again, I'm trying to get real niche down, but it's like there's just more people engaging, more people saying, hey, that's me, and even folks who aren't that. Like I've had women introverts, Black women introverts saying, you're absolutely right. We don't really give the space for men to be introverted. Like, why is that? And from there, we're able to have a discussion. And it's not men versus women. It's just, this is my perspective. This is your perspective. There hasn't been the space given to talk about it. It's not a matter of arguing. It's just a fact. So now that we're here, how do you deal with it? And we're able to have a discussion that doesn't end in acrimony.
Right. And do you find that as a Black man that introversion culturally is not okay? It's like you're supposed to be a certain way, but introversion doesn't fit into that? Or is it more common? Like, how did that honing in and speaking directly to that person as your ideal client, how has that helped you understand your introversion culturally as well as personally?
So at first it opened up a few painful memories, but it also highlighted how I got through it, and it highlighted that, hey, it's not just me. It's, you're not the only one that goes through something. So to kind of answer your question, I wouldn't say it's not okay. It's looked at differently because again, you have societal expectations of what we're supposed to act like, and then you have expectations from your own community about what we're supposed to act like, and a lot of times, they are kind of similar, but they're both fucked up. And it's like,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's like, I know what you mean. So it is wrong for white people to say this, but it's okay for us to say this.
Right.
That doesn't make any fucking sense.
Right.
So it's like,
Oh, yeah, and I've dated the rainbow, so that's why I'm interested culturally, because I've only experienced my life as a white woman, but I've dated people of different, many different nationalities. Oh, that's my dog. Many different nationalities, but I'm just curious, because I saw kind of how, one of my boyfriends like 6'5", but like totally quiet, totally chill, and I'm like, how, but
it throws people off because again, you have a certain expectation of what people are supposed to look like, and when that doesn't happen, you got to figure out how to explain it. But instead of just saying, "Hey, he's just a quiet dude," it's some negative shit. So,
being quiet isn't a bad thing,
that's hard. But again, the only way to get through it is to get through it, and I've gotten more comfortable talking about it.
Good,
and it's been good to see more people kind of who have that story, and we're just once we have the space to talk about it, we're talking about it. So, and
that's amazing. That's really incredible.
So it's
something to be proud of.
Thank you. It's been cool walking on this journey, but I'm just gonna keep reaching down and see where we go.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And it, you know, and you are kind of your target audience. So the market research is right inside your brain. That's pretty awesome. I know for me, a lot of my market research is in my own brain too, you know, but I also see it come from clients and, you know, other people I've talked to. Those are the stories that help us truly understand some of these things that we contend with as humans, and really finding our humans, it makes our life so much better. When we really find those people who get it, like they get it. You know, we don't need everyone in the world to get it. We just need those few key people to like really understand us and see us. And when that happens, we flourish, like we really grow in that kind of thing. So like, I think with you and I, we had a similar, I know I had a fear of honing my audience down to be adult diagnosed women, but after what we went through and the marketing PhD that we got, I realized that going down to just women who were diagnosed later in life is, I mean, I had a little talk with Chat GPT, or as I call Chat Daddy, because, you know, Maudie's Content Daddy. So Chat, of course, is Chat Daddy. And it's even in my memory. It's like, please, she is going to refer to me now as Chat Daddy. It's pretty funny. But, you know,
that's awesome.
Yeah. But I had a back and forth with Chat about that, narrowing it down even more. And it was like, yeah, this is good, because there's a lot of women who you will relate to, who will relate to you because of the circumstances. And then I have the business chops on top of it. It's like, yeah, you need to do that. And also here's what you should be charging. And also, you know, just giving me a lot of insight on that. And so that was really helpful. But I also know that some of my greatest content is me. Right? Some of our greatest content is ourselves, or the thought that we have where we're like, no one else thinks this way. And then you put it out there and people are like, me too. Oh, I thought that last week. Da, 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 da. And you're like, I'm not alone. My people,
you know,
are
that's the thing that I, you know, really literally just last week I came to that realization. I am the content.
Yeah.
Like that like,
WWJD, baby.
Yeah, like I've been doing this for like 2.5 years, and I'm just realizing, yes, I am the content.
Right. We definitely. 1 second.
That's all right. We get the dogs on the show. I love it.
Yeah. Look at this guy.
You know,
is that,
say hello.
Oh, there it is.
Is that Meatball or Noki?
That's Noki.
What's up, Noki?
You hear your name? Yeah.
This is all right here. Here we go. This little crazy boy. He's just seeing other dogs outside. So
You hear your name?
Stop it. Say hi. Okay. Yeah, we're weirdos with our dogs. We love dogs.
Oh my God.
They don't talk back. They never they love us unconditionally, and they don't talk back. They just bark, and then we're like, don't
look at how he's looking at me right now.
I was saying, like, I love just staring lovingly into your eyes. It's awesome.
Hello. You want to go for a walk? That's me, and I have to say
I love that you know, I think when we kind of figure out we are the content in a lot of ways and then execute on that and start seeing the feedback, it's like, I hit it. I hit a nerve. I know that what I'm experiencing is something that others are experiencing, and that I can speak to it, and I don't even have to give context. That's when you know. It's like when you say something and you don't even have to give context, and your people are like, that's funny shit. That's gold. That's the golden nuggets that we look for. So I love that.
I love how both of your dogs are both looking at you like so lovingly. This is why I need to get me a dog in my life, because I want to have a dog look at me the way these dogs are. Look at Noki. He's just like,
oh, I love you too.
You can tell you're on mute, Steph. You're on mute.
It's so funny because my dog will literally walk. Oliver walks backwards so he can always look at me. He doesn't walk like in front of me facing forward. He walks in front of me facing backwards and walks backwards. It's the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen. Aww. Like if he doesn't have his eye on me every second, he's upset. It's like,
this is how I am all goddamn day while I work.
Welcome.
He's like, hi, can you see me? Can you see me?
That's how they are. They get right up in your face. Yeah, I highly recommend it. Pets are great. I think you should get one too, Jay.
Yeah,
that's in your near future for sure.
Yes, it's in my near future.
It's happening this year, right?
Hopefully, that's the plan. I want to get me a cockapoo. I've been
so cute.
I've
been very clear. Lots of barking, lots of farting, lots of snoring. Good time.
All the good stuff. That's okay. Whether it's a person or a dog, it's all the same thing.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
They just can't quite tell you what they want, but yes, they can. They definitely tell you what they want too. So You gotta get down.
Exactly. Okay. Well, I feel like we're going to need a part 2 at some point. Because obviously we can talk for days. This might officially be our longest episode ever. I'm just looking at the time right now.
It's up there. Yeah.
You have 2 ADHDers
and I love that
and
for
an
us.
introvert. You have 2 ADHDers who like to talk and an introvert who's willing to talk. That's
exactly.
a fun like,
recipe for long.
It's so good. I love it.
I love it.
This is great. This is
but
awesome.
I will say that our longest episode, the only one that I can think of, which we recorded about a year ago, actually, that was about this long, was our most highest performing episode ever. So
really, that's fascinating.
So maybe we shall see.
Well, I just appreciate you guys. You even asking me to be on was just awesome. I love this. I love social media. I love all the cool people that it's brought into my world, and the different people from different places that I've gotten to know and experience. And so this is always fun. This is fun for me. I'm like, this is really a job. Like, are we really this is our job? But it's like, I sit down and do my work each day, and I'm like, I get to do this. Are you kidding me right now? So it's so fun. It's pretty freaking awesome. I can't complain.
Well, we loved having you on. And like I said, we'll definitely have to have a part 2 at some point.
That'd be awesome.
And what's it called? Before we let you go, is there anything you want to plug? Like, where can people find you?
Yes. My website, karrieoutloud.com. It's Karrie spelled Karrie. So like nobody else on the planet. So it's Karrie Out Loud. My website and my Instagram is Karrie Out Loud. My threads is Karrie Out Loud. And that's really the best places to find me. So
all right.
My website and my specialty is adult diagnosed ADHD women who create businesses and want to grow them, scale them, and do it in a way that works with their brain, not against it, because the more you go against it, the harder it makes shit to happen. So when you start going with it and you understand how your own brain works and have the systems that support that, it changes a lot. So that's what I do. That's my specialty.
Awesome. We will put all of that in the show notes for sure.
Thank you. If you need anything, let me know.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you guys so much for listening. So this was another episode of the Stay Introverted podcast. I can't believe we're officially in the 60s. And wow. Stay tuned for another episode next Tuesday. But in the meantime, be sure to rate it, review it, share it with a friend. Follow us on all the socials. We're getting close to 400 followers on Instagram, which is awesome. So let's wrap it up, people. Let's make it happen. Just kidding.
Yeah. Have to go check it out.
But not really. Anyway, listen to the podcast, share it with a friend, and we'll see you next week. Yeah, I almost said we'll see you next Tuesday, and now I'm saying it, but you know.
See you next time.
Bye.